So the other day, I made a video talking about how Once Upon a Time is bringing Sinbad and Scheherazade to Season 6, which I still think is a very good idea, and I'll talk about why I think it's a good idea towards the end of the video. But Joe Gabbett left a comment saying, this could be a cover, and Joe, I completely agree with you after looking at the casting call even more. And who do I think it's a cover for? Aladdin and Jasmine, and I think it's a very strong possibility that we are finally getting Aladdin and Jasmine adapted. So here's my support of why it's a cover. During Season 5, when Comic-Con was coming out, they told us flat out that King Arthur, Guinevere, and Percival were coming. But they also said Ivana was coming, and Ivana was a cover for Merida. So it's quite possible they're going to cover, Aladdin and Jasmine with Sinbad and Scheherazade. I think it's totally possible. Then, remember when I made the video and we talked about how Hercules and Meg were possibly coming to Season 5, and were we right? Yes, we were totally right. And even though the casting call didn't specifically say Hercules and Meg, it gave the details that it essentially could be Hercules and Meg. So now I'm going to read the casting call again to you guys, and I think we can kind of see Aladdin and Jasmine here. So it does say Sinbad, but again, it also did say Ivana, who is going to play Rumpel's mother. So I think it's very possible to be Aladdin. So it says, for Sinbad, the ABC drama is seeking a 30-something Middle Eastern, Arabic, Northern African male to play a roguishly charming and quick-witted hero who knows the power of kindness, but as of late has lost his ability to lead his people. Now, Aladdin is a very iconic character in the Disney pantheon, also in Arabian myths. I like Aladdin a lot. Now, I feel like a lot of people would say, oh, if they're adding Aladdin, the show's being way too Disney. And I think the show got that reputation when it did add Elsa, Anna, and Kristoff from Frozen, and then it didn't help when it added Merida. But if you remember back in Season 3, Peter Pan was there for a whole arc, and so was Ariel for a part of that Peter Pan arc, and no one was like, oh, it's being too Disney. Because Peter Pan, I believe, is a book. I don't think it's a fairy tale. But no one's like, oh, it's just a direct adaptation of Peter Pan. It's just bringing him in. Clearly, they were doing that with Frozen for money, and it worked for the show, and I love the Frozen arc, don't get me wrong. But I think the show is known to bring in characters from fairy tales and myth and, give them the Disney elements. So what's wrong with bringing Aladdin in? I mean, Belle is a main character, and a character that I unfortunately don't like that much anymore. But she is Disney. This Belle is very much based on the Disney movie Belle, also then based on the fairy tale Belle, the fairy tale from Beauty and the Beast. So, to me, it makes no problem at all to bring in Aladdin and Jasmine. So it says a 30-something Middle Eastern, Arabic, Northern African, or Arabic male. Now, Aladdin is roughly in his late teens, early 20s, so bumping him up in age is fine because, like I said in my earlier video, all of our main characters are in their 30s. So having Aladdin in his 30s, no problem at all. Roguishly charming and quick-witted. Well, Aladdin is extremely roguishly charming and quick-witted. Quick-witted, his first song in the movie is One Jump. So, I mean, he's being quick-witted. The second we see him in the movie, what is he doing? He's getting away from the guards. He's breaking the law. He is being extremely quick-witted. So, and he is very charming. Does he charm Princess Jasmine? Yes, he does. And knows the power of kindness. Aladdin is one of the kindest Disney princes we know. He gave the bread that he stole, granted he stole it, to those two little kids. He wanted to protect Jasmine. He wanted to free the genie, and he freed the genie over his own happiness at the end of the movie. So he knows the power of kindness. This is totally Aladdin. I see this as Aladdin. But then it goes, lost faith in his ability to lead his people. Now, I don't know exactly what happened to Jasmine's father in the way Once Upon a Time should adapt it, should they do it. But Aladdin will become the Sultan, the ruler of Agrabah. So in that sense, he's clearly going to have some type of character arc where he's going to figure out how to get his ability to lead back. Now, also, Aladdin in almost every sequel or every Aladdin movie, and there is 3 of them that he's in, and he's in the series too, there's times where he loses ability in his own personality, or he loses faith in himself, and he needs to get that back. So losing faith, totally Aladdin. He loses it, when he can't figure out if he should set the genie free or need genie around in case he needs to be a prince. When his dad is told to be alive, and then the whole thing when he lied to Jasmine in the second movie. He totally has arcs where he loses faith in himself. So I think that is a very distinctive possibility that Aladdin is coming. I think the description totally captures it. So the next description we have is for Scheherazade. Now, for Scheherazade, it pretty much says the character is envisioned as a regal, Middle Eastern Arabic beauty who never backs down from a good fight and go toe-to-toe with even the toughest of adversaries. Jasmine, a lot of people, I feel, have issues with her, but I think she's one of the best Disney princesses out there. She's spunky, she's fun, she's rebellious, she wants freedom, and she fights. In the third movie, she punches one of the 40 thieves. She doesn't take crap from anyone. She throws wine in Jafar's face. She doesn't back down. She's spirited. She knows what she wants. She's also regal. Now, granted, Scheherazade in the Arabian Night myth is, a queen, but Jasmine's regal, and she's beautiful. Jasmine is probably one of the most beautiful Disney princesses out there. So I feel that this completely captures the essence of who Jasmine is. I just think, of a character that can go toe-to-toe. She can go toe-to-toe with Aladdin. We've seen a Jasmine go toe-to-toe with Aladdin in the series. We've seen her stand up for herself. So this is essentially Princess Jasmine to me. So I am seeing them come in. Now, as to how many episodes they'll be in, it could just be a one-off, kind of like Hercules, but I just hope it's adapted properly. But what I'm hoping is it's like a 3 to 5 episode arc, kind of doing what they did with August back in season 1. So either way, I really, really, really feel that this is Aladdin and Jasmine as opposed to Scheherazade and Sinbad. But I said in the beginning of the video why I think Scheherazade and Sinbad are a good idea. Because Scheherazade could be an author. She could be telling stories and bringing those characters essentially to life at the end of the episode where the story gets told. She has the ability to let untold stories be told. Sinbad has the ability to bring untold stories to us. Now, what I think would be really awesome is if they do both and have essentially Scheherazade tell the story of Sinbad, have Sinbad meet Aladdin and Jasmine, and then have Sinbad bring Aladdin and Jasmine to Storybrooke. If that wouldn't happen, I'm being a little bit speculative and fan wishing to Once Upon a Time. But I feel there's definitely ways to incorporate both sets of characters because I happen to like both of them, and I just think Sinbad is one of my favorite DreamWorks movies and a very interesting tale. So I think that Sinbad would be really cool on the show. Plus, I really think he would get along quite well with Captain Hook. But the same applies here to Aladdin. So there's another reason why I would like to see Aladdin on the show, and that's because it will give us more time to dive into the story of not only Agrabah, but could possibly get Jafar free from his lamp and have Naveen Andrews back on the show. And Naveen Andrews is a very talented actor, and I feel the character of Jafar was interesting in Wonderland, but needs a lot more development. It needs to be shown, as a villain of some sort. So it'd be kind of cool to see him go toe-to-toe with the evil queen, serum-based, and then Regina herself, and even confront Hyde or possibly Rumpelstiltskin. So I would really think it'd be a good way to get Naveen Andrews back as Jafar. So how awesome would that be to have Jafar on the show? And then, last but not least, it gives us the opportunity to see Sydney again. And we don't really know where Sydney's been. He wasn't in Season 5 at all. In present day, I believe he was in a flashback. But it would be a good reason to get Alejandro Esposito back on the show, get a bit more of Genie's backstory. Genie did say, the Genie of the Lamp in Once Upon a Time did say he was from Agrabah, so this way it can all tie together. Maybe Genie betrayed Aladdin and Jasmine, and they were and somehow they got frozen in time. So anyway, I really, really think that this casting call is now a cover. So thank you, Joe, for putting that idea in my head, and it allowed for this video to be created. Now, there's another thing I want to talk about before the video ends. For Untold Stories with Disney or Disney movies that I want to see adapted on the show, and if this is the last season, and don't rant in the comments that I'm saying it's last season, I don't know. But I feel the way it's set up, it could very much be the last season. And there are a few characters in movies that I want to see put on the show, and I think it would work really, really ticely, especially in the Untold storyline. So I would like to see the last 2 of the Disney princesses adapted, which would be Tiana and Pocahontas. I think, again, as Untold Stories, it would work very well. Have a quick arc, but a good arc to explain these characters, explain the Frog Prince, explain the story of Pocahontas. I think it would just be really, really interesting. Even have Facilier come in for a little bit of the episode. Avoid Radcliffe if you're doing Pocahontas, but just have Pocahontas and John Smith come in, and even if it's just a reunification story, that would be nice for Pocahontas and John Smith, but also show how Pocahontas is a shaman and has magic and has some type of connection to maybe even Tiana, like make it a double episode. So I think it would work very nicely to see Tiana and Pocahontas together, or at some point in season 6, at least in the Untold story side. Like I said, Untold Stories is, it's untold, which means, had Snow White not been a main character throughout all of Once Upon a Time and they never talked about her, her story would be untold. So right here we have Untold Pocahontas, Untold Princess and the Frog. So it'd be very cool to see them. Then, just to kind of maybe go up the hype of the Warner Brothers movie Tarzan, it'd be nice to see Tarzan and Jane adapted to the show. They're not really fairy tales, obviously, but again, untold stories. Tarzan is a really cool story. Tarzan, the Disney movie, came out on my birthday. 1999. I have a very much a bias towards loving Tarzan, not just because of my birthday. I just love the animation of Tarzan. I love Tarzan's voice. I think Jane is one of the most interesting Disney heroines out there. So I would love to see Tarzan adapted in some type of way. I feel like the Jungle Book really wouldn't fit here because just Mowgli is so young, and then it would probably cost a lot of money to make some CGI animals. But I feel that you can get Tarzan and Jane and maybe a couple CGI gorillas. So I would really like to see them again in a one episode arc. Just have someone tell the story. Maybe have Scheherazade tell the story. It'd be weird to have somehow Scheherazade get an Edgar Rice novel into her pantheon of stories. But again, it's something I would really like to see. And then last but not least, because this movie is going to be 20 years old this year, is to see Judge Claude Frodo and Quasimodo, and also Esmeralda and possibly Phoebus in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Like I said, the movie's going to be in its 20th anniversary, so maybe Once Upon a Time can capitalize on that just a little bit. I think it'd be really cool to see them adapted. Frollo is probably one of the scariest Disney villains. He doesn't have magic, so I really think seeing Frollo on Once Upon a Time would be really cool. Esmeralda and Quasi would be great as well. I mean, as to how they would make Quasi look, I'm not really sure. But I would just like to see, again, these characters in this arc. Like I said, if this is the last season, this is when you can essentially give us all these characters instead of, like kind of make it characters that no one really wants to see, or make it characters that could make the storyline really go slow. I think Pocahontas and Tiana have a lot of possibilities to make the show very interesting. But again, this episode was completely about Aladdin and Jasmine, and now I've talked for over 12 minutes about this. So anyway, I really think that the original cover of Sinbad and Scheherazade was a cover, and that it truly is going to be Jasmine and Aladdin. And I really hope you guys agree with me. If not, maybe share your thoughts below in the comments below. I'll be covering Comic-Con very soon when it starts next month. Also, last thing I want to quickly note: this channel I'm gonna be using. It's grown. It's grown to over 800 subscribers, which is awesome. But my other channel is essentially back to normal, so I'm gonna be doing less here and more there. I'm going to do a very similar announcement in my next reaction, which I will post here as well. But the next video to come out for Once Upon a Time is going to be solely on the model nerds. That's where it's going. That channel's back to normal, so the sneak peeks, the trailer reviews are all going to be there. I just wanted to let you guys know. All right, so if you're excited for Aladdin and Jasmine or Sinbad and Scheherazade, which group are you most excited for? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Once Upon a Time Season 6. Well, pre-season 6. My episodes of my individual episodes of Once Upon a Time Season 6. My video episodes. All right. Bye, guys.